All right. So, hello. Welcome to the Zoom meeting. Nice to see you. Hello. Great to see you. Wonderful. So, first of all, I just want to let you know that it's being recorded today. Hello. That it's being recorded today, at least the audio track. So you will be heard if you say something, but only my picture will be seen. I don't want anyone else to be seen on the video. So I don't want to look bad next to someone else. So, all right, so no, only I will be seen. Apart from that, there is no message, so we don't really talk about anything. This is not about something, so to speak, and there isn't anything to be gotten anyway, so nothing matters really. And this is what this apparent message seems to point to. It's basically saying, hello, this is everything, this is it, I'm here, so to speak, but not to be found really, because there is no one who's separate, who still needs to realize that, or who still needs to find that. This would be part of the dream, and the dream would be I am, so to speak. I'm something, and automatically the moment I become something, I'm separate from everything else, or I'm not everything else anymore. So this would be the dream. I am me exclusively, so to speak. And the whole seeking reality, the whole need to seek, all the beliefs and assumptions that come out of that need, they all happen only for this assumed center. So one could say when it turns out that there is no one, all the other stuff drops together with the dream that there was someone, need to find something, beliefs about what I need to do, ideas about right and wrong, and all those things. They just turn out to be as illusory as I am. That's basically what's pointed to, not for any reason. The pointing, hello, the pointing doesn't create more wholeness. Even the pointing doesn't lead to something else. The apparent pointing, so to speak, is wholeness already. There's just this, it's this, not for anything. Nothing will come out of this, so to speak. It's just whole and complete already. As this is whole and complete already, there can't be any teaching. This is not, actually, this is not coming from a logic. It's not that I could teach, but I thought it through and came to the conclusion that I can't. No, it's impossible because there isn't anyone to do so. And it's impossible because there isn't anyone to be taught. But as I say, this is not conceptual. It's impossible. There can't be a teaching. Though, of course, the person might hope that this is a teaching. The person might hope that I'm trying to tell something, that I'm trying to teach someone. It may definitely look like that to the illusory person. I got a private message. Thanks, Monica. So that's it, basically. Anyone who wants to comment may do so, but if not, it's fine too.
Hello, Andreas.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks.
Nice. So my question is, really, this message isn't saying anything. So it's just completely simple in that it's not saying anything. So there's no reason why anyone should feel threatened by it.
Oh, one could say so, yes, of course.
But sometimes listening to it does energetically have like, there's a charge of feeling threatened or like on guard or defensive when I hear this.
Yes.
So the question is that because the person just wants to carry on seeking forever?
Well, it just wants to survive. I mean, it's basically happening all the time because nothing says anything to the person, no matter where it is, no room, no circumstance, but the person thinks that this happens to me, and the person potentially just feels threatened. It goes together with a sense to exist, because the sense to exist seems to imply the possibility to not exist anymore at one point. So it's not really the message that threatens the person. The person just feels threatened. But it could also feel threatened by sitting in a room and nothing going on. The person can feel quite threatened and become very desperate about that as well.
And
just its experience.
In regards to that, the person, it seems to me anyway, is always trying to look for a distraction or get the next thing, get the next thing, get the next thing.
That's seeking, basically, yes. Yeah.
And is that because it wants to sort of distract itself from the potential threat of its own absence? So it needs to keep moving.
For example, yeah, this would be another story, of course, but yes. Or because to just be present seems to be so unpleasant that it thinks that it needs to escape from it.
So the sense of discomfort that the person apparently experiences, or you said like it's unpleasant, is just simply its own presence is discomfort, like is uncomfortable.
So, yes, apparently, of course, because this presence isn't real, so it's an apparent discomfort. But yeah, presence in itself seems to be unpleasant. Totally, the experience of presence.
And I know it's a story to say that the baby's born without a sense of self, and then it develops a sense of self at 18 months to 2 years or whatever it is. So it's sort of like the baby's just, well, there isn't anyone there, but as soon as that apparent center happens at like 1.5 years, 2 years old, there's suddenly the sense of I'm present, and there's married to that is this sort of discomfort or this unpleasant feeling, would you say?
So, yes. Yeah. But of course, it seems, it's a story, but it seems that for the child, so to speak, the me is rather sneaking in than just full on. Maybe there's also coming and going as a story.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. But kids can already suffer quite a lot from not getting what they want and thinking that they become happy if they get what they want. I mean, as an adult, we often laugh about that because we see that it's not true. But for them, it's deadly real, so to speak, if I get the ice cream or not. They may have forgotten it quite quickly afterwards, but in the moment, it's hell. And
But it could be
very
as an adult.
Well, the need to get the ice cream. Yeah.
But even though as an adult, well, you might be an adult. I don't know if I am yet. You see a child suffering and you think, why is that intense suffering happening from not getting the thing they want? But that can happen as an adult as well.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Absolutely.
Like if you're so invested in your role in a job and then you lose the job, or the person you're in love with leaves you, or whatever, things don't go your way.
Of course, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Or it could happen like that. Totally, of course.
So the end of feeling separate is the end of suffering because of something else?
Well, the end of feeling separate is the end of the suffering from separation.
And not getting what you want, would you say?
Well, in a way, that's the person's experience. It never really gets what it wants. But as long as it can believe that it's at least on the right path to getting it, it's more or less okay. As
Yeah.
long as the person believes, well, I will arrive there at some point, it's able to bear a lot of suffering, so to speak.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. But for some people, of course, the seeking can become very, very desperate also, as you said.
Andreas?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say something about protection, but I'm not really sure how to say that. I read many years ago that Yuji Krishnamurti was describing like there is this protection mechanism that wants to protect itself, and I understood it. I just understood it, but it's very different, like that what seems to happen right now. I mean, because it's not about understanding anymore, but it feels like there is like I mean, there was a whole construct of thoughts, like being busy with me and myself and me and mine and owning all kind of stuff, thinking I'm owning all kind of stuff, or like trying to protect myself in whatever construct I could. And it seems like that the stream of thought is still there, and there is like every now and then still like something trying to protect, but it doesn't really work anymore. It's like, feels like it's just, I mean, the protection is there, but there's not really meaning to it. And there's not even like the need to do something with it.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So it's really, I mean, I don't know if there is no awareness. So how come maybe there's just saying of it, but there used to be a lot of protection, and there is not so much protection, but the thought streams can't arrive sometimes still.
Oh,
Thinking
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
absolutely.
Like, oh, yeah.
Sorry. And it seems like I still have to protect myself, but there's no energy behind the thoughts.
Yes, it's just what seems to be happening. I mean, in the story, one could say you're just having, or there's just this body which has a certain kind of functioning now for several decades. So when the sense of ownership and the sense of control drops, you still have this body which was functioning for its whole life, so to speak, believing that it needs those protection, so it may just go on, the thoughts and
but it feels like this is like what was contracting all the time, like trying to really sort of stay in control and protect myself, and like trying to make it work the way I thought
apparently it was
working out.
Yeah,
so when it's not
driven by this I am in here.
So when it's not there anymore, it feels like there is like more, like I feel more naked because nothing really protects me anymore.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes, and there is some kind of vulnerability, but there is even the vulnerability is even empty because nothing to do. I mean,
exactly.
Once I felt like, wow, I'm vulnerable and it's very special and I can share it and whatever, it's something very special. But even the vulnerability, there's nothing to it. It's just like, even this is empty. So I've just been left like with all that stuff, like nothing to do with it. It's really,
Absolutely, yeah. As I say, it's not a wonderful state of vulnerability or something. I mean,
no.
There to be harmed. So
yes. even even this is not special, like this to be a big thing. Oh, I'm vulnerable, and this is my emotions, this is my story, and I'm sharing with the other, and I'm opening up, and even this is like not even special anymore. Yeah.
No, there's just no need for this artificial protection.
No, really, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is it right to say that the contraction is really like all these thoughts, like really contracting life itself? It's like really sort of, this is how it feels in a way.
Well, one could say that all of that is the armor that seems to have been built around this center, and yes, in a way, those are all tools already to protect this center.
Yes.
Certain thoughts, beliefs, protection from emotions, suppressing stuff, and of course, this all gives also an impression of, well, I have to keep it all together. I have to control it, stuff like that. But actually, it just seems to be built up around the center of I am.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's really exhausting doing that.
It's work, yeah, of course. It's kind of work. It needs kind of, as if it needs constant is illusory anyway, but as if it needs attention again and again, and awareness. It's almost as if you have to take care about it, like a house or a castle, as you have to constantly repair it here and there, that not your armor falls apart. It's work, of course. It's an artificial.
Yes.
Artificial. Apparently, of course.
I need to be confirmed. I need to be confirmed all the time. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. It's just not needed anymore, so it can just rot away, so to speak, by itself, until there's just a ruin left or nothing at all anymore.
But at the same time, there's also a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of space because it's not being like used anymore. It's not needed. Like all the efforts and the action that I have to do, to prove myself, to show myself, to be loved, to be protected, all the stuff. When it's not there, it's just like, there's more space to just, just life.
Yeah. But I don't know if there's more space. I know what you mean. It's in the story, so. But there isn't really anyone having more space and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, trying to do all of it, that was a lot of effort. That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Totally. Thank you. So my long road, whatever it's built up around the elusive me is already illusory anyway. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a story. It's a total story.
Hey, on Nothing FM yesterday, there was a guy called Lino Schutzmutz, whatever. He's German. You remember? You remember who it is?
Well, I think he's just new in Germany.
He's new on the scene, but it's quite interesting. He's never heard of non-duality before the whole thing had collapsed.
Oh wow!
Never seen you, Tony, or anybody before. It just. He said he'd had this strange period of about a week. It's a really interesting interview. It was wonderful to hear him, and basically says the same thing as you guys say. And it was wonderful because, he asked like, how come it sounds like very similar to Tony Parsons and stuff like that. His answer was like, well, basically there's only a certain ways you can describe this. It's a very narrow path, really.
It's hard. If something's green, it's hard to describe green without using the word green. So it's a bit like that, so to speak. Yeah. Oh, amazing! Yeah, I just seen he popped up, and I think he has been to those meetings just in the last few weeks, not before. But I haven't.
Of course, I make fun of his name when you're recording the damn thing. Now I'll look it up.
Yeah. So it wasn't Schrutzmutz. It was some other German, whatever. I think he's German.
Hello, Andreas.
Hello.
Hey. So the apparent you is not involved anymore with memories from the past, like childhood memories that maybe have a pain in it or happiness. Those emotions, you know, when you remember things from the past, are you still in touch with the emotions in those memories?
Probably not really. I don't think so. No. There can be emotions coming up, but but maybe not. I don't know, actually.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Ah, yeah. Lino Heimhild. Yeah, all right. Might have a look. I haven't watched him. But of course, apparently in the story, the person can just drop out of nothing. There was absolutely no kind of any preparation for that. And those meetings too aren't a preparation for anything to happen. The person somehow thinks that there is some kind of path and that there's some kind of preparation for that needed or something, or that you need to have heard the concepts or know what it's about at least a bit or something. But all of that would be just part of the dream. The person, so to speak, the person always collapses out of nothing. And in the end, it'll be always a surprise, so to speak. And it will never be because of. And in the end, no matter how often those words have been heard, or death just always happens right out of life, whatever the position in life is, so to speak, as a pig. It just drops completely out of him. But so yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting because he said you can't be prepared for this. There's no way to be. Yeah.
Impossible. Because the only thing you would prepare for would be something, a certain stage, a circumstance. But there isn't such thing, so you can't prepare for this. And as I said, also those meetings aren't a preparation, so to speak.
Andreas, so what you're saying there about there's no preparation and the meetings aren't preparation for the death. So, because I have this narrative in my head and you've disagreed with it in the past, I can't let it go. There seems to be some kind of loosening going on, and in like of the contracted energy.
Yeah, that's all right, but this would just be what apparently happens. That's all right. There can be all kinds of loosening and destruction of concepts and lightening up or whatever, but in the end, there is no preparation for the end of I am. That's the thing. The person would turn this into a preparation for my future being more lightened up and stuff like that. Exactly, this is all the dream.
Okay, so that's just like
has any connection to lightening up or something.
Well, to be like, I suppose if somebody like that guy you and Joey are talking about, if he had not come across this message first, even if there was an apparent loosening of the contraction over time before it collapsed, you wouldn't notice it if you weren't exposed to this.
Say again.
I'm constantly trying to notice, am I more contracted, less contracted? Do you know what I mean?
No one would notice. Yeah.
But if I hadn't come across this message, I wouldn't be paying attention to that.
Yes. That's possible.
So I suppose, yeah, if death happens, it's just...
I mean, to some degree, whenever there's a person, there is always some kind of investment in one's own story. So something may be noticed, but there just wouldn't be, or there just would be a completely other story that's told to oneself.
Yeah. Well, suppose, yeah, because at the end, when there's no longer a sense of anyone there wouldn't be anyone telling themselves a story of this led to this.
Oh, yeah, not at all. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Andreas.
Hello.
I can't remember what it was, but I was on a gym session, and the apparent theme of his the thing he kind of seemed to stick to the whole time was the idea that whatever was going on, no surprises in what I'm about to say, is part of liberation. That, you know, he spoke at the beginning about liberation being liberation from trying to get liberated, and then, you know, that if the apparent me is in the story, that's part of everything as well. So there's no, and yet it was what seemed to happen with me, or over here when he was saying that, was that I'd always seemed to have it that I kind of get the idea that when that it's undescribable, you know, that actually there's no one there to know what's happening. That seems to have been supported by you know, the glimpses when they happen, that actually it's kind of like, oh right, so that's what we're talking about, you know, when the me comes back. And so there's this, so we regularly talk about this toing and froing, yeah, between the meing and the being. And if we didn't have the conversation around the me, there'd almost like be nothing to talk about, because there is nothing to talk about, right? And then so then Jim comes along this day, and it kind of the effect it seemed to have was that it threw me, because it was, until that point, there was someone here thinking that there was this kind of yo-yoing between meing and being going on. And then Jim says, well, that meing is part of everything, and is anyway, you know. So not a question, but I just wondered if you had anything to say about that or not.
Well, well, I can just say yes. Yes, maybe good. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, meaning and being, so to speak, is what apparently happens. It doesn't make sense that those are two separate things, so to speak. It's just unknowably itself. There is no meaning and there is no being as opposites, so to speak. That's part of the dream. That those are two separate states, or that there are different states in the first place, and that meaning and being are different states, opposite states. Oh, it's a complete dream, of course. There is nothing meaning and being. There is no real meaning going on. Or, as Jim might say, meaning also is what seems to be happening, or is wholeness, or whatever he said, is part of the whole, or whatever. But in the end, you can't even really say that, because there never is a real meaning.
No, yeah, I get that, but the interesting thing there is that I seem to get that, whereas when they're, you know, in the story, when there is being, there is no one there that knows that. It's only, yeah, there's just.
Yes, but then there is also nothing there which would recognize meaning as something else than being, so to speak. That's what this message comes from. It's totally impossible to identify anything as, oh, hey, that's meaning now. Whoa. Until so far it was all wholeness, but now there's this meaning going on. Wait a moment. No, This moment never comes because there is nothing there which would recognize that. No matter how much, how often, or how deeply you try to convince me about, but here is a me, but here is a me, there would never be this moment when this was actually recognized to be real. It would just be what happens. And I might even understand that or I might even see that it really feels like that for you, that you would fight for that, but there is a me here now. But no, there wouldn't be anything called meing going on. It would just be as much being or as much nothing as it was all the time, so to speak.
I have nothing to say.
So this is not coming from another concept, that meing and being, that also meing is part of the whole, and yeah, we know that. And no, it's just the whole identification, the whole recognition of there being something that's not whole, or of something that's suddenly something else on something real, doesn't happen anymore, or would be again part of the dream of I am. In that sense, it's not conceptual. The person can understand the concept. And of course, the concept of wholeness does also make sense. It's quite easy to understand, actually, that the illusion of me, of course, is also just part of the whole and stuff. And even for the person, that's kind of a comprehensible concept, so to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Comment. Life or everything is impersonal, but can we have impersonal experiences of life, or are all our experiences personal? Well, that's a bit the tough thing with the word experience. For me, experiences are personal, because how I would use this word experience, it is the person to be aware of from a separate standpoint. So I don't really think that, or in that sense, experiences are never impersonal, but a functioning body is impersonal, to feel feelings, to thinking and that stuff. Everything that the person would regard as an experience. Of course, all of that is impersonal. Even the person Andreas, with its thoughts and feelings, is utterly impersonal, in that sense that there is no separate person behind it, that it's not mine, that there isn't an I owning this body and its functioning, so to speak. Now, yeah, and my long runs, neither personizing nor dispersonizing really happens ever. Exactly. So in the end, the concept of personal and impersonal doesn't really apply anyway. Because when I say Andreas is what apparently happens, then of course this seems to be deeply personal, because it's about what I think and what I feel, and not about what you think, so to speak. But it's impersonal in a sense that there just is no person having anything or owning anything or experiencing.
Andreas, can I ask something, please?
Yeah, yes.
So I've been desperately lusting after this, what I imagine like this thing called liberation, because there's this sort of like sense that when I get this thing, it's going to make everything perfect for me.
Well,
but
it
really,
doesn't make everything perfect, but not
for... Oh, it does make everything perfect.
But not for you.
But basically, right, so my question is, I keep thinking, why hasn't it happened yet? Why hasn't it happened yet? I feel closer today. I feel close today. I feel closer today. Is liberation just simply the end of the claim that I'm not yet liberated?
Yes. Plus all, and well, automatically, plus you are. It's not only saying, or it's not replacing I'm not liberated with I am liberated, which a lot of spiritual people try to do, to replace that story. But of course, the dream is that there is someone who hasn't found. Oh yeah, of course.
So even though certain things might drop, like seeking, for example, and feeling unworthy and whatever else, everything carries on the same as before. It's just there's no longer a sense that something additional needs to be added, which would be liberation or whatever it is.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you know, everything happens like before. I mean, that something happens before in a certain way was a story already. So it's not necessarily what the person might assume with everything happens as before. It's like the same old known stuff just goes on. But yeah, in a way it is like that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Can the me drop away so subtly that it isn't even noticed? Like you could go on for a month or more and be like, oh yeah, totally, of course. Yeah, that's what kind of happened to me in a way. Yeah. I mean, the other thing, the end of me is never really noticed as such, because there is nothing really there anymore referring to this story or living in this need to notice, is there still a me or not? In the end, it's exactly this question which completely dissolves. So in that sense, it's always unnoticed. But yeah, that's a bit my story, the subtle fading out, so to speak. Yeah. And I can't pinpoint down an event, a moment when the me dropped. No, of course. But as I say, this isn't a story that counts anyway, because this whole, I mean, within these circumstances, the question of is there a me? Is there no me? Is there still a me? Is there no me yet? It's just the same as am I enlightened yet? Am I not enlightened yet? So, but this whole thing vanishes. Who would be interested anymore if there's a me or not? And yes, and on the other hand, there is no real recognition about oneself. Hey, I'm not seeking anymore. Whoa, great, let's celebrate. No, because there is no awareness about that. It's more like when it comes to the issue, then it's almost like, well, true, actually, I'm not seeking anymore. Yeah, I would, it's almost like, well, if I'm asked for it, I would need to lie when I say that I'm still seeking. But it's not really something that went on here, like, I made it, I'm done, stuff like that. No.
Andreas?
Yes.
I mean, nobody does seeking, and nobody does unseeking. It's just that nobody does that. So like when I was seeking or less seeking, now I see that I never really did that, or still not doing it. It's not so, it doesn't really have substance, but it feels like I'm really like, I'm seeking. But it's not like I chose to seek and I chose not to seek. There was really, it just really happened by itself.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. And the big surprise is that the seeking was never different from not seeking.
Yes, yes.
It was just what was apparently going on. Oh, yeah, of course. It was never wrong. It was never a problem. There was no one ever bothered by seeking. It was just what seemed to have happened. Yeah, yeah. Like anything else just seems to be what happens. Clouds and hunger and feelings and whatever, anything. Yeah. Totally. And that is all, that is that all is naturally whole and complete, is the same as there is no thing, yet at the same time without excluding or rejecting anything. Yeah, it's absolutely, yeah. But again, so the person would immediately say, but there is a difference. So yes and no. There's an apparent difference, which can't be known what that is. Because you can't point to it. Ah, that's impossible.
Hello, Andreas.
Hi.
I see here without rejecting or denying, and it is not, or to accept anything. It's not that at all.
No.
Or to take things as they are. It's not about any attitude.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just even not accepting, unable to accepting is just the freedom itself.
Totally.
So it's not, because you see a lot of these gurus, what they tell you should accept, be more tolerant or whatever. But it's not about that.
Not a single bit.
Because that's another prison actually, to accept more.
Absolutely.
Terrible.
If it wasn't good already.
Yes.
As if anything would need one's acceptance. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's another attempt to turn this into something good for me.
Yes. They somehow turn it into a kind of a reference. Oh, are you able to accept everything, anything? I'm not there yet, so you still need to practice more.
Yeah. The problem is that you are never really there yet, because there's always a new moment with new things to accept. It never stops. Yeah. That's why acceptance usually is regarded as a path. Never met anyone who really accepted all. They will always tell, yeah, it's a path. Okay, hey William, it's about you. I think a comment. I think that people like William imagine the liberation with subconscious assumptions that they will feel the liberation and still remain the same. I think that better idea for them would be like totally another human being inhabiting their body after the liberation. Well, I think that's basically the idea of the person, that I will move from an unliberated or unenlightened person and can become a liberated person or a know-me person or stuff like that. So yeah, of course, the person would love the idea that I completely change. Yeah.
The thing is, it's impossible. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you or anyone else says to me that, like, when I say it's unimaginable what it'd be like if I wasn't here, and it doesn't matter how many times you or anyone says to me you can't imagine that, I can't stop myself trying to conceptualize what it would be.
Oh no, it was, yeah. Oh, of course. Oh yeah.
But it's always for you. It's always for you.
Of course. Because I've projected so much hope onto when I'm not here, but
no,
it's like,
I would say the person does that anyway. So it's not, the person just thinks what we speak about is something that it will become aware of at some point. When I say there is no one, the person would say, okay, so liberation is when I'm aware of there being no one. So yeah, that's just normal.
I was going to ask another question, but it's not really something that could even be answered. I was going to say, when there is nobody, what's left? But there's no awareness.
Yes. Awareness of, noticing of is dreamed reality.
So without awareness, there's just, well, I don't want to sound completely stupid, but without awareness, there's just absolutely no knowing of what is.
100%, yes.
And no,
speaking of.
And no, like the person who was asking about experience, there's no longer a center that things would be happening to.
Yes. Not conceptually, but yes, 100%. Totally, of course.
It's crazy. I can't get, well, I never will get my head around it.
Yeah.
But thank you anyway.
Thanks. Too late for that, William.
And also, Andreas, what you were saying about the person kind of pictures it of moving from one state, or I don't know what words used, but moving from one thing to another thing. What's mind-boggling is that there's already no one there, because the person pictures it that I'm going to move from this to this, like a before liberation and after and from being me to being a no me.
From this moment to a next moment. That's basically where this picture comes from its experience that's already happening. Now this is happening, and then there is another moment happening.
Yeah, because the thing is, so the person has that picture that I'm going to move from this to this, because the assumption of being someone is so deeply like assumed to be real. It's
just a person's experience.
But the reason it's not a moving from one to another is because, well, I'm asking this question because there's already nobody here.
Yes. So the dream starts, so to speak, with I am now here as an experienced reality.
And that's the most mind-boggling thing of all, is that there's already no one here. Like,
this is,
I can't get, yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say that sense of feeling separate, because it can be a very real sense, like just unquestioned in the world at large, it's just purely out of that contraction of energy on a cellular level, like all the bodies in this, all the cells in the body become contracted, which forms this sense of a here and a knowing.
Well, they never become contracted. It just feels like that. There is no contraction in your body.
Oh, right. But there's what? So, what I'm asking is, where does that strong? It's not even like a thought or an intellectual. It's just like a really felt assumption that I'm here and I'm real. Where does that come from?
I don't know if it's. I wouldn't even doubt that it's strong. It just is what seems to be happening, and within that impression, it just feels real, but it's not strong. It can go like, whoop. It doesn't have any strength in itself, not a single bit. There is no solid me illusion that has to be worked through or could be worked through in a long process of deconstruction. It's not solid right from the start, but as long as it's what seems to be happening, it's inevitable and feels solid and strong. But it's neither strong nor deeply ingrained nor deep in the cells or stuff. It can just go like that. It has no authority and strength and reality of its own. It's just what seems to be happening.
And logically, I can go there with you, because I can say that when the apparent glimpses of this happened, which the really strong, memorable ones were before I came across this message, there was no circumstance. There was just the appearance of feeling like someone until there wasn't, and there wasn't any knowing that anything had changed. But yet the me always came back, apparently. For liberation, it's just literally the end of that illusion, like what you said, like boop, like just that simple.
Totally.
So it's the same as when a sort of like a glimpse happens, in that the sense of being someone isn't there, but it just doesn't return. That's all it is.
Yeah. No, well, it could be anything. For some people, it could be a long process of death, so to speak, but not because there is a solid, real me.
Right, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the theories I had is that, like, people who are more contracted or feel more separate, it will take them longer to fade out, versus someone who's more like light and kept.
No.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, what a lovely story about oneself. Yeah, my me is so strong, and I'm really doomed with this strong me. Yeah, yours is light, I know, but mine is really.
Well, I was thinking that when Joey was telling the story about the guy who he said did the interview, who apparently died before he came across this message, I thought, well, he wasn't very contracted to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very contracted, so I'm going to be here a while.
You gotta go to personal undevelopment classes.
Be very
You
contracted.
gotta wind yourself down a little bit.
Andreas, the teacher in me is in admiration of how you, and I know there's no one there, so I kind of know the answer to this, but how you can possibly hear the same questions over and over again, and then it just sort of hear them. And I've got a question around that, because it
works actually, because I don't listen, but sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, well, that's confused me now. So no, it's okay. The thought that came up while you were talking to William just now was that, well, actually, there's because there's no one there. It's like, and actually, there's no one here asking the question. There's no one there that can kind of say, well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what I'm saying.
All right.
I'm absolutely sure I have no idea what I'm saying. That's the only thing I'm so sure about. But there's something around, you know, if someone in the story, okay, if someone's trying to enroll me in their story, you know, their drama, sometimes there's sometimes there's kind of like, there's someone here saying, oh, they're trying to enroll me in their story. It's just a story. I don't need to respond. But there's someone saying that. Then other times stuff just gets said to me and there's no one interpreting it, looking for their story, thinking it's their story. There's just these words coming at me. But because it's a story, there's nothing to say. So you don't say anything. Does that resonate with you? That there's, you know, you kind of have to find something to say because there's so many stories coming at you. But actually, that you're not there because you're not there. You're not there thinking, oh, this is a story, and you know, blah 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 blah.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
In the end, there aren't even stories coming at me.
Yeah.
I'm not here in a position. I'm neither having the impression of I need to react on their real drama, nor am I here as a presence facing those stories coming at me. But that's just what happens, yeah. And the answer as well. And yes, there is no need. That's what I mean. And it's not, and it is like that. In that sense, I don't even listen. I'm not waiting here, kind of asking, what does this person want from me? How to react properly? What is the right answer to face this person the best way, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. It's really interesting because there's in my work as a teacher and as a trainer, there's a particular topic that I think I know a lot about, but actually there's because it's like in my story, I've mastered that. When anyone asks me anything about that, the response just comes out. But that seems to be born of 30 years working in that area, you know. But actually, I think the illusion is that anything does anything other than just come out.
Yes, absolutely, totally. Yes, that's a natural reality. That's not special. It's just a dream that it's planned and that there is someone doing the speaking and the listening, or that someone is needed to do them. One could also say it's just happening by itself. Listening, speaking, just...
Yeah. I mean, within my family at the moment, there's drama going on, and apparently there's the there's the expectation that this person here would respond to the story. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, sometimes there's no one here to respond, and so it's just, you know, I think you put in your book, it's like a dog barking at me, and then sometimes there's somebody here thinking, well, am I meant to respond to that? Oh, let's make something up, and you know,
if it's family, just take care that you don't kick it away, but like the barking dog. But yeah. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. No, it's just, I don't know what I got, but I got something out of realizing that there's no one there answering the questions.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's why every question's fresh.
Kind of, yes. Yeah.
But there is a knowing for no one that the questions have been asked before.
I don't.
Well,
not really. I mean, I know what you mean, but no, not really, actually. No. I mean, you might get a reaction if there is, you know, one meeting and one person asks the same question again and again. There might be an apparent recognition saying, well, didn't I say that 5 minutes ago?
Yeah. I mean, I forgot my microphone was on a few meetings ago, and so she kind of just said, "Oh, for fuck's sake," when the same question was asked over and over again. But you know, that doesn't happen over there on the whole.
Yeah, but this too would just be what apparently happens. So it's not predictable or knowable, or it's not really coming. If there, you know, there would be kind of, well, why does the same question come? It wouldn't come out of a real knowing or a real noticing. Because on the other hand, one could say it's always the same question again anyway.
Yeah, I was just,
there's a different question going on, but I'm absolutely not aware of that.
Yeah, I'm just reading Open Secret by Wei Wu Wei at the moment. And it's, Joey said that you'd mentioned him before, which is kind of why I bring it up. But he's amazing because he says the same thing about 2,000 times in 2,000 different ways.
I haven't read it, but someone gave it to me as a present. It's quite long.
Yeah. But he's got nothing to say, but he manages to say it in, you know, Tony. I think Tony's The Open Secret is much more accessible and readable. You know, Wei Wu Wei really goes into the language of it, but it's the same message. Absolutely, it's the same message. Yeah, it's very complicated, but it's really good to go to sleep by at night. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a tip or anything. It's just an observation. Yeah. Right. It's 12:59.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's the last comment in the chat. I go for that. Thank you. There is no sense of separation. There is no impression. There is no experience of being a me. So no one can get rid of it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's another idea. To get rid of the me is coming from the dream that there is something in the first place. There's nothing there which can't be explained and is not logical. There is no I. There is no I illusion. There is no experience to be. There is no sense of presence. It's not real. It hasn't become substantial at any point, at any time. It just doesn't exist. All there is what seems to be happening. All there is just, oh, someone's joining now. Sorry, someone new. Sorry about that. All right, so what was I saying? I forgot. So there's no suggestion. Thank you. So there's no suggestion. There's nothing to do or nothing to not do. There's just no one there. What happens? What apparently happens is just naturally whole and complete. It's ordinary and wild and fresh and empty. It's this. Thank you very much for joining. I wish you a lovely day. Thank you.
What's the schedule this week?
Tomorrow and
Friday.
I think that's it for now.
Thursday.
On the weekend, there is the virtual retreat via Nothing FM.
Yes, but is it Thursday or Friday this week?
Thursday.
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. All right. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas.
Bye. Always
Thank you.
good
Bye-bye.
descriptions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.